Chapter 4. The Withered Tree Guardians. The withered tree giants had skin of a brownish-yellow hue, covered in dense lines resembling the rings on a tree trunk, circling over and over. Their chest muscles were raised and rugged, resembling blocks of hard basalt from a distance. Their knees, elbows, and other joints were adorned with spikes, each as long as a dagger, but as sharp and deadly as a military bayonet. Ethan had no doubt that a single strike could pierce the hardest human skull. The weapon in the withered tree giant's hand was so massive it was suffocating. It wasn't just a giant's mace, it was more like an enormous log, thicker than the beams used for constructing houses back in his hometown. Ethan had no doubt that one swing of it could reduce even the latest T-92 tank to a pile of scrap metal. The shock was overwhelming. Ethan was left dumbfounded, while the black-clad warriors felt their scalps tingle. The Withered Tree Guardians were the protectors of the forest elves, tall, mighty, and incredibly strong. Although the warriors had anticipated the possibility of encountering such terrifying beings, they never imagined that the long-haired beauty would summon a full 25 of them all at once. Under the woman's command, the Withered Tree Guardians thundered toward the black-clad warriors, each step sending up a cloud of dust. Though slow in movement, their strides covered nearly 10 meters, and in the blink of an eye, they had closed in on the warriors. One swing of the club brought a deafening boom, like thunder, crushing the black-clad warrior and his mount into a bloody pulp, with crimson blood pooling on the ground. Caught off guard by these towering creatures, the black-clad warriors hurriedly urged their cloud eagles or griffins into the air. These withered tree guardians hadn't advanced in power yet, but their solid bodies were impervious to the warriors' swords. Only the accompanying mages could seriously harm these protectors of the elves. Taking advantage of the Withered Tree Guardians' cover, the elves launched a counterattack. Dark green arrows rained down relentlessly, piercing the nearby black-clad warriors and turning them into porcupines. Morale surged. Unable to escape in time, some warriors, terrified, zigzagged on their flying mounts, but it was all in vain. They were either skewered by elven arrows or swatted from the sky by the Withered Tree Guardians like flies. Then, with a stomp as large as a tractor's tire, they were crushed into a thin sheet of flesh, making Ethan's skin crawl. Reports from scouting hornets confirmed that there were no ambushes nearby, much to Ethan's relief. He didn't want to risk his life just for a glimpse of this spectacle. This world was insane. Rabbits could spit fire, pythons could spray water, and now trees could turn into living beings. Who knew what monstrous thing he would encounter next? Wind of swiftness, quickly! The terrified young man barked orders. Mages, fall back and cast wind of swiftness on the warriors now. Furious after sustaining heavy losses, the sinister youth stared down at the long-haired woman holding a dark green staff on the ground, his teeth grinding in anger. According to the mercenaries' intelligence, this was supposed to be a small elven village, an easy target. Yet, to his shock, so many withered tree guardians were protecting it. Ibbles, after I'm done with you, I'll sell you to the lowest, filthiest brothel, where you'll service 70 or 80 brutes a day, damn it, he cursed venomously. The only way to make up for the losses was to sell these beautiful young elven maidens to nobles or to brothels. Otherwise, the cost would be too great. Following his command, several robed mages on griffins ascended once again. After confirming they were out of the elves' arrow range, they chanted softly and cast wind of swiftness on the black-clad warriors. Instantly, the warriors became as fast as tigers, effortlessly dodging the slow-moving withered tree guardians and charging straight at the elves, who were less adept at close combat. Cloud eagles and griffins were already fast, but with wind of swiftness, they became blindingly quick. Some elves, caught unprepared, had their throats slashed by the descending black-clad warriors in a single stroke. Others suffered even worse fates, being torn in half by griffins the size of calves, their blood, brains, and intestines spilling onto the grass. Seeing the ferocious charge of the black-clad warriors, the long-haired beauty directed the Withered Tree Guardians to fight back hard. Yet, with the enemy's enhanced speed, the Guardians could barely lift their massive clubs before the warriors, riding griffins, darted out of range, like trying to catch fish with a bamboo basket. After much effort, they hit nothing. "Sophia, gather all the Withered Tree Guardians together quickly," commanded the elderly elf overseeing the battle. If the Guardians couldn't catch their swift-moving enemies, they might as well focus on defense. Sure enough, once the 25 Guardians clustered together, the tide turned. The black-clad warriors, wary of the Guardians' massive clubs, dared not fly too close to the ground. Meanwhile, the elven warriors hid behind the Guardians, raining down arrows that picked off the black-clad warriors within range, one by one. "Use frost magic, freeze those Withered Tree Guardians," the young man ordered after circling in the air. Soon, a cold wind blew as the mages whispered their spells. Ethan, hidden in the treetops, shivered at the sudden drop in temperature. Hearing the mages' chants and feeling the increasingly powerful magic in the air, the elderly elf commander paled in fear. The Withered Tree Guardians hadn't advanced enough to strike aerial targets. If they were frozen and unable to fight ground forces, the consequences would be disastrous. "Elder, we'll stay behind and hold them off. Lead the others in retreat or it'll be too late." A brave elf warrior, carrying a full quiver of arrows, stepped forward. But before the elder could give the order, the mages raised their hands in unison, and thick, feather-like snowflakes fell from the sky, freezing the sluggish Withered Tree Guardians into ice sculptures within moments. Ice statues. Ethan shivered and calmed his eager hornet beasts, channeling his inner magic to keep warm. Admiring ice sculptures was one thing. Being frozen alive was quite another. Seeing the immobilized Guardians, the black-clad warriors' morale soared. They launched themselves at the elves with renewed ferocity. "Haha, death to their men, seize their wealth and tie up their women," the young man shouted after slashing the throat of an elf warrior. Dressed in heavy armor and flanked by guards, he charged straight for the long-haired beauty. "Don't kill the young elf women, damn it. They're worth money. Tie them up," he barked at a frenzied warrior. With a lecherous grin, his eyes roamed over the beautiful elven women. "Hey warriors, tonight, follow me, Amia, and enjoy yourselves." Understanding his meaning, the black-clad warriors roared and attacked the retreating elves with wild abandon. Some, overcome with lust, tore open the clothes of their captive female elves on the spot, their faces twisted with desire as they pounced on their prey. "Let go of me, you beasts, let go!" Bound tightly by several black-clad warriors, the long-haired girl struggled fiercely. Seeing her grandfather fighting desperately but unable to break through, and realizing the leering young man was inching closer, she burst into tears of despair. "Ha ha, my beauty, I'm coming!" the young man cackled, his desire raging as he rushed toward her. "Don't worry, my little beauty, I'll take good care of you." "Ah, my eyes! Help! Hornet beasts!" Just as the long-haired girl closed her eyes in despair, the black-clad warriors around her screamed in agony, blood pouring from their eyes as they fell to the ground, writhing in pain. When she opened her eyes, she saw swarms of hornet beasts attacking the warriors, stinging their eyes and vulnerable spots. At the critical moment, Ethan had unleashed his eager army of beasts, hungry for the blood they had smelled earlier.